Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to the Wednesday Wake Up Live. We have a very exciting show for you guys this morning. Very controversial, very triggering.
We have a celebrity in house.
EJ Twyman is already here from Gotcha Predators. We're going to be talking about his stings that he has been participating in, that running out there in Wildomar. We're going to be talking about the Super Bowl halftime show and everything that Serp Ministries was up to over the weekend. We just watched their dog for them. That was rough. That was a rough situation. But we watched their dogs that they go out to Vegas to go do good things. So big shout out to them. We're going to be talking about our nonprofit of the week, Warfighter Made. Rah, fantastic. Real estate horror stories. Zach and Kate got a couple, I guess, that got posted that they want to share with you guys. We're going to be talking about the halftime show. Apparently, that's a controversy.
Go figure.
3 generations of men in this house had their jaws to the floor. The women were cheering.
Hey,
everybody was very excited over here. But apparently, it's a freaking controversy out there on Facebook. You guys will get offended about anything. We'll talk about that, and we'll try to be objective. I'm just kidding. We're never objective. And then we're going to talk about the State of the Union. So if you weren't triggered by everything else, we're going to finish the show off by talking about the State of the Union and what President Trump had to say and what Nancy Pelosi did. It was just good television.
It's been a great few days.
It was good television. It was like watching the old school WWF.
Yeah.
I half expected Nancy Pelosi to chug a beer halfway through and break her chair over President Trump's head. It was absolutely wild. So quite the production. If you watch it on YouTube, watch it at 1.5 speed. We'll talk about that later. And then we're going to talk about common sense for California.
Anthony is offended, saying that they get offended.
People are already offended this morning, so we're headed exactly in the right direction. So that's what we've got going on this morning on the Wednesday Wake Up Live. So if you're offended, you're in the right place. Wake up. And then we're going to be finishing off the show by talking about Thomas Paine's common sense. I think we could all use a little bit of common sense.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Yes.
Politically, just in our lives, we could use a little bit of common sense. In California, maybe Nancy Pelosi could use a little bit of common sense. On a worldwide level, we're all losing our freaking minds. I think it's time to revisit some of these minds that helped shape this country. Thomas Paine being one of them. But I'm not going to get too long-winded now. Let's save that for later. So let's kick this off by talking about our real estate horror stories. Zach, Kate.
Yeah.
Apparently, real estate agents are going through some of the worst things that you could possibly imagine out there. Let's hear about it.
I'll give you guys a snapshot because right as the baby wakes up. Zach,
it wasn't meant to be.
I didn't get the whole story. Oh my goodness. I'll go on with mine. So there's this great Facebook page. It's called
Zach's talking like an announcer.
And ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the ring. And there's this great Facebook page. It's the lighter side of real estate. And somebody posted a story that they were right at closing. They were doing their final walkthrough. The owners had emptied the house, and they walked in, and in one of the bedrooms where there had been a bed, there was something on the carpet in the shape of a body, and it was just a brown stain in the shape of a body.
No.
And they said they immediately and apparently there's a horrible odor in the house as well. They immediately called the police, but they never got to the bottom of what it was. And I'm like, can you imagine walking into a house and there's
a stain in the shape of a body?
A stain in the shape of a body. And there were some very interesting stories.
So I have sold houses where people have passed away in them, and you have to disclose that someone has passed away in the house. And so there's a lot of people that are turned off by the fact that someone has passed away in the house, and they just will not go in and burn some sage and just figure it out. Like death is such a big deal. So I had a client who their parents had passed away in the house, or one of their parents had passed away, and so it was such a big deal to so many people that they were just turned off from even being in the house. Like, what are we supposed to do with our dying? Like, oh, mom's dying, drag her outside.
Yeah, I know. I had a client; she wouldn't even walk through the door when she found out I disclosed it to her. She said, "No, forget about it. That's just bad juju. I'm not going in. I don't want to see the house."
I'll tell you what, we are a show of weirdos, but I don't understand not living in a house where someone's passed away. I'm just kidding. I totally understand it.
Just sage the heck out of it.
Sage it. Sage it. Did you have another real estate horror story before we move on?
I'll try and spit this out.
Ren. So I guess an agent was showing a vacant house, and his client was disabled, had the rascal little wheelchairs that move, and he got it stuck in a mud pit in the backyard. So like spinning out, mud spraying everywhere, and so the agent found some like broken tiles from around like the yard, I guess, and had a makeshift like a ramp to get him up and out, to get his client up and out of this mud pit that the rascal had gotten stuck in. So like I couldn't even, like that would be a lot. And he said there was no one around to help. They were just like out in the middle of nowhere.
You know, when you first started telling the story earlier, I didn't understand about a rascal. I had something similar happen. At an open house. So I had a lady come by, and she had an electric wheelchair, and it had a ramp that came out for her to get in, and then she would drive in, and then she would get into the driver's seat of her car. Well, the ramp that came out broke, and she couldn't get it to wheel back in. And so I ended up having to crawl under her van in my suit and use these Allen wrenches and these other tools to try and fix this ramp so it could go back in, so she wasn't stranded at the open house.
So you didn't have to, but for those of you tuning in at home, Zach is an Eagle Scout, and he does things like that.
That's that guy.
I am a rotten bastard. If something like that were to happen, I would just be like, hey, listen,
AAA.
God said no about this house. Let's call it off. Let's get your car fixed. I'll talk to you in a little while. AAA. Okay.
I just saw this really funny meme where it was a guy in a gurney riding on the back of a tow truck, and it said, if you don't have health insurance, call AAA.
Okay.
All right.
Goodness gracious. Let's get did you want to talk Warfighter, or are we going to jump in with EJ?
Real quick, whatever you want to do.
Let's jump in with EJ.
Okay,
okay, so guys, there's something really big happening right now, and people are getting involved in the participation of their own safety, of their children's safety. People are being radical in what I like to call getting involved. Mm-hmm. It takes a complacent society to continue to shrug at the destruction of innocence and the destruction of our children. And there's a local man who is working to combat that firsthand in Wildomar. His name is EJ Twyman, and I would like to welcome to our show an absolute hero, in my opinion. EJ, thank you so much for joining us. Amy's clapping.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so EJ, welcome. Let me bring this here over a little bit. Okay, so EJ, first off, thank you.
No problem.
I appreciate what you're doing. I'm just gonna shake your hand like 4 or 5 more times. We were talking a little bit about what EJ does before we brought him on, and everything that Serp Ministry does. And there is a very specific decision that people are making to go where they are needed. And EJ, you said your life was completely different 4 months ago.
Oh, yeah.
Tell me what brought about this transformation. It has been radical to witness your effect on people. What happened? Who is this man standing in front of me?
Well, 4 months ago, I was just a rapper and a father. I was just trying to make music, trying to get into the music industry. And then I was working a job. We all work jobs, some of us, that we don't want to work.
Sure.
I got tired of doing that 9 to 5 every day. So I quit my job. I was trying to figure out what I can do to impact not just myself, but other people. And so I was sitting there for 2 weeks watching the news and other shows. My daughter, she's 9 years old. She went on the phone. So I was like, okay, well, let me see what it's like around here. She's smart enough to go on these apps and download them. So I came up with the idea of, doing the old Chris Hansen and from To Catch a Predator.
To Catch a Predator. And your show is very reminiscent of that, but you're doing it without a major studio.
Right.
You're doing it with you and another person. So you came up with this idea because your daughter was getting involved in technology.
Right. Technology is a big issue for me because I know how it's great, but there's a dark side to it.
Absolutely.
And once I have my daughters, it's like, I don't want anything to happen to my kids, in any way, shape, or form. And then this topic is actually, personal for me because I was molested at a young age. And so I didn't remember until I was in high school.
Yeah.
And that affects you. And I still deal with that as a 26-year-old man. So it's like, I would hate for my children or any of my friends' children or any children around my community to go through that and then have to deal with that for the rest of their lives.
So what a beautiful and courageous decision that you make to get involved in something and this is something, so a lot of us get involved in the military and we already have post-traumatic stress.
Right.
And that's not exclusive to the combat community.
Right.
And so you can either use your pain to anchor into a deeper healing for other people, or like what you're doing, a prevention of that pain, so that other people do not have to go through what you went through. Or you could go through thinking like it's a rite of passage. Well, that's what everybody this, everybody that. And I'm so disgusted by the complacency that goes on with that sort of thought that I really have to recognize your heroism for deciding to help other people from being prevented from the pain that you have experienced personally.
Well, I don't feel that it's like a heroism act. It's like I'm a father, you know.
Sure.
It's like, you know, I've lived my life afraid to do certain things that are crazy or that might put me in harm or people might frown upon. And I was like, you know what? It's like anyone can die at any moment. I can pass away. What am I going to leave my kids with?
That's right.
You know, so I'd rather leave them with this idea of being able to start something or speak up to where people can hear you.
So tell me what it is, and because I could get into forever, like what your story is, who you are, like as a person. I'd love to do like a 3-hour podcast with you. But what is it that you are doing? And tell us about some of the successes that you've been having in Wildomar.
Well, I've confronted at least about over 20 guys, you know, that were willing to meet up with the child. They all thought I was underage, at least 15 or 14, girls and boys. I've gotten 2 guys arrested. There was a misunderstanding with the Temecula police in the beginning. I reached out to them to see if I can call them when I'm going to confront these guys. They literally told me that's not how it works, sir, and they left it at that. So I didn't think I was able to actually call and get all these guys arrested, which I wish I could have. Every single one. But I've gotten 2 arrested. One was a PE teacher out in Barstow. The other one was, you know, located in San Diego. He was around a lot of kids with this Pokemon group or something like that. So I just wanted the first video. I didn't expect the guy to actually meet up with me, and I just wanted to kind of just make awareness. That's all I wanted to do. Just show that it can happen in anywhere. It can happen in LA. It can happen here. It can happen in rich, poor area. It doesn't matter. And that's what's going on.
That's such a huge point. It can happen anywhere.
Anywhere.
And when I worked with certain ministries and them combating human trafficking here firsthand, it was in the Inland Empire. Okay, it was in the Inland Empire. It was 15 minutes from where my family sleeps. And so this thought that it's somewhere else, that's a somewhere else problem, it's very misleading. And so one of the people that you got arrested was a PE teacher. You're trying to cooperate with the local authorities to try to get them to participate in this with you.
Well, they have everything that you see on YouTube. They have all the unedited of every video. Everything, all the chats, the license plate, all of that. So it's a lot of work. Obviously, there's 20 guys that have to look up and do that. But I really hope that they are looking into every single thing. So,
and this is one of those things where, again, you know, we are at this show. We're very revolutionary. We hold up the mirror to the society. We've done it with the Temecula City Council recently with the short-term rental thing. We're continuing to do it here with some of our local senators. We have to be the mirror. We have to show people what they don't want to see. The fact is you are performing a civil service. Flat out, you're performing a civil service. You're handing them this information. I really hope that the Temecula Police Department decides to act on this. I know that they can be overwhelmed, but there are things that need to be taken care of and things that are absolutely paramount to most of us. And I would say that common sense dictates that 99% of humanity would be more concerned with the safety of our children than we would somebody getting busted for some drug offenses or somebody getting busted for something that they're willingly participating in. We're talking about children. Children. And that was my. Why should this be polarizing? Exactly. That's my goal. I want to bring everyone together on a common cause. You know, we all want to protect our children. So it doesn't matter what you look like, what you believe in. If you have children or a grandchild, whatever, if you have a heart, you want to come together as a community. We can't control everything up in the higher ups. But we can make a difference in our community. So if we all come together and do that, so that's my main goal. So in your people are buzzing here in the comments. If you guys are commenting, make sure that you're commenting on the Wednesday Wake Up Live so that we can get these questions directly to EJ. I want to bring to you some criticism that I've heard. Okay, and because this is one of those things. Kate and I have talked. I was talking to everybody at Serp Ministries, and I come down heavily on your side of things. But this is the talk. People are saying, well, he's promoting himself. He's promoting himself. He's putting himself out there. Gotcha Predators is making money and whatnot. I have my own answer to that, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to step in on your behalf really quick. Aren't there worse things to be making money for? First off. Second, if you would like to sponsor this man in fighting this sort of corruption firsthand, I would love to slap my name on it and to put my name alongside this. Is there a more beneficial thing to sponsor than something like this? Third, if a tree falls in the woods and it doesn't make a sound, and so what you're doing is you're holding up, again, the mirror to society. You're saying this is what is actually happening, and I love it. So
Kai Irvin's commenting, where's the money? That's what I want to know.
So Kai, and let's say Kai, for those of you that are watching at home that don't know who Kai is, who's Kai?
Kai is my partner. Kai is my partner in this. I met him after I did the first 4 videos.
Yeah.
I was introduced to him. He's had my back since day one. One of the best guys I know so far, and he's going to continue to be my partner throughout this. So, great guy.
Shout out to you, Kai.
Yep.
So there are people that are watching at home. You have to get the Predators on the website, sinkingarrangement.com. It's for sugar daddies and sugar babies. High school girls are using it to make money. Good morning out there to Mandy. I'm offended for saying that we get offended. So Zach, I can hear you breathing.
Well, what you just talked on is the same thing that I just had somebody do that. Well, I had somebody say that for the French Valley thing where we gave the waitress the money, somebody saying, well, you only shared that because, you wanted recognition. No, I shared it because it's something good and it makes people feel good.
Aren't we highlighting enough bad stuff?
And that's exactly it. Is people want to go, and this is an argument that I have constantly. Is people go, well, if you're doing something and you're sharing it to feel good about what you did, you're doing it for the wrong reasons. And I say, what's wrong with feeling good about what you did?
Can I address that?
Yeah. Please.
So, if someone can tell me a bigger platform than YouTube to expose people, please let me know.
Please.
Yes.
If there's a bigger platform, I would love to go expose them on.
Yeah.
It wasn't about the money. It's like I started with my phone, to go catch a guy in the eye if he was actually going to show. I don't have a big following. I'm not some known person. So where else can I put it?
Yeah, that's right.
And I'm not promoting myself. I'm not afraid if they see my face.
That is it. You are putting your name on it. Yeah. And that's the difference. And that's the difference between EJ and some of you cowards that are criticizing him is EJ puts his name on it and it makes you people uncomfortable. And so that's what I love about it. When the people were signing the Declaration of Independence, they put their name on it and it was a death warrant.
Like this is going to be my legacy.
That's right.
So it's like, this is how I want to live my life, and this is what I've chosen to do, and I can impact other people. Not everyone can say that. Not everyone's going out every day and impacting someone else. They're concerned about themselves.
That's right.
So what I'm doing is not just for myself, but for my kids, my kids' kids, and your kids and their generation. And
yes, and you're making the world a better. The kingdom of heaven is at hand. We've got to make the world a better place for our children. If you're not, you're passing the buck to your kids. Period. You're passing the buck to your kids. You have to be actively involved in making this world a better place.
I want to show people you don't have to sit around and wait for someone else to help you.
There it is.
That's right.
You don't have to. So
Superman.
That's it.
That's really it. You can't be your own Superman.
I'm not a vigilante. Everyone's trying to call me vigilante. I'm not a vigilante. I'm a father who cares about his kids, and any father can do this.
We discussed that a couple episodes ago when you ended up having something happen, and we discussed the difference between vigilant. What do we call it? Vigilante justice versus vigilante exposure, or just And I think that people go, "Oh, you're a vigilante," thinking like it's the Wild West, and you're showing up with a 6-shooter. And I don't think there's anything wrong with the word vigilante necessarily. When you say no, you're just doing a job that the police are overwhelmed. There are entire task force set up. And when you start saying, okay, vigilante justice, we're not going to tar and feather people in the streets.
Let me say this. This is the new revolution.
Yeah.
The new revolution is information. It is the spreading of awareness. And what we need to do as members of humanity is to enlighten each other. And what you're doing is it's encouraging other people to get involved in the fight. It's encouraging other people to get involved in their own fight. And so what is your fight? Are you getting engaged in it? There's a lot of corruption right here at home, right here in California, right here in our own country. So the thought of spending millions and millions of dollars everywhere else all the time, when right now there's a lot that needs to be done right here. And there is a lot that's being done.
Pandemic right now, sex trafficking and what's going on with these pedophiles. Like why can't we deal with that instead of worrying about what's going on in other countries? We have an issue, right? And I'm not, like I said, I'm not a political, trying to be a political person. But if we start in the community, we can branch out to the rest of the world.
Yep, we've said time and time again, and we had Rudy Gonzalez and Lori Gonzalez from Certain Ministries on a past show, that human trafficking is the issue of our time. This is modern day slavery, and what you're doing is you're exposing it. Because what's happening is the people that are consuming this is the American man. It's not overwhelmingly women that are going out and doing this. So we have to confront with what is wrong with our in today. And so one of the people there's a lot of really great comments right now. Jessica Brago, she said, be the change. Jessica, shout out to you and everything that you're doing with short-term rentals. I encourage you to go out and donate to Jessica and the short-term rental for Temecula Valley. They're raising $60,000 right now to take on city council. Shout out to you. Fantastic. They're buzzing on Temecula talk about this. Be the change. Ty, your partner, says be the change. And then Daryl Miller, super fidelis to you. Exactly. We know that by experience. People are supporting you. It's overwhelming. So here's the last thing. And I want to introduce you to Rudy, because I think that you guys can learn things from each other. And I think that it will just encourage the fight to make this world a little bit better in our podcast.
One last thing.
Hit me with it.
I don't get money for this like that. Like if you are monetized on YouTube,
Yeah.
I get like $50. You feel me? So it's like I'm not over here making money, and I don't care if I don't make a single dime. Those videos will be up for forever, and people will have awareness from those videos. That's all I care about. So I can, I'll find something else to do if I have to. Doesn't matter. But as long as I'm making an impact, I feel good about myself.
So let me say this for those of you watching at home. I encourage you to monetize this. I encourage you to sponsor him in his fight. And if you had freaking logos all over you of companies that were just
my gotcha hat. I want people, like, if you wear this, hopefully predators will know that's not someone we want to mess with. He's part of that movement. So
that's right.
That's what I would like. People wearing the gotcha predator stuff just to start a movement, so that predators know I'm not going
That's
to that area.
right. Predators are becoming aware.
No,
of what it is
that's
they're
right.
doing.
In the apps,
They want to stay away from
They're gonna
Wildomar.
think twice now.
Well, in the apps, they talk about it. I was talking to you guys like, yeah, well, if you're underage, you're probably that guy who's catching it.
Yeah.
Oh!
They do it. And, so I'm not to go to
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want them to be afraid that they might see more.
So what's phenomenal about that is there's an entire task force. It's called the ICAC. It's the Internet Crimes Against Children, and it's a multi-agency. So it's tons of law enforcement agencies, federal, local, everything. And the ICAC has kind of worked in the shadows. They don't publicly shame. They of course get arrests. They do a lot of stuff for human trafficking. They do a ton of stuff for children. They do child porn, all that. But the threat was always there, but they're not talked about.
Well,
In 2 months, you managed to have people going, uh-oh.
Yeah. And awareness will create prevention.
Right.
Awareness will create prevention. And part of that is shaming people. And like, if you're doing this and you're participating in this, I have no sympathy for you.
Yeah.
You should be shamed.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, and there are people saying, oh, well, they should be offered some sort of rehabilitation. I'll tell you what, if you're being offered rehabilitation, you're saying, hey, if you want to come to Jesus, we'll help you out. That's not that sort of redemption. You find it yourself.
Yeah.
And I encourage you to find it yourself. I encourage you to go out and get help. But when you are caught in the act, it is time for you to be persecuted.
Let's be real. There was a point in time, if I was smoking weed, I'm going to jail for a while.
Yeah.
But these guys can talk, send pictures, try to meet, hurt these children, and they only get a misdemeanor.
That's right. That's
So,
insane.
so if I can do my part and make sure that you're ashamed in the community and get arrested, I'm going to do that. Because if it was me in that situation, someone would be doing
Think about all the children you saved just by catching that PE teacher.
Right, exactly.
That's right.
And all the students were commenting on the video, talking about a lot of different things.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's good enough for me.
These people don't do it once. It's not like they're like, oh my God, it's my first time ever. You caught me.
Right.
A lot of these people are serial predators. They're preying on children. They're scoping them out. They work around children. You said about the Pokemon trainer,
He's around a whole
the
bunch
PE
of kids.
teacher.
The PE teachers were, the guy who I caught at Temecula Mall, the mall was trying to make me take down the video. He worked for the Paris Elementary School District. So it's like, what are we going to do about that?
That's right.
There has to be something that bridges the gap.
I'm not going to stop until something is changed.
And I wanted to mention that too. I'm so glad that you brought that up. Laws need to be changed. You talked about in California particularly.
Yes.
There are some laws that need to be changed. Can you bring some of those?
I know when I went to San Diego, we saw one where now they can live in the vicinity of a park, a school, doesn't matter. They made it more lenient on the predators, saying that it was against their constitutional right. Just some of those right there. It's like, how is that okay?
Yeah.
Even if they haven't done anything, they're being rehabilitated. That's a mental thing. Every guy I talk to, they say the same thing. They're like, "Oh, I was bored." If I'm bored, I don't think about that.
That's right.
It has to be something mental or something. Even if some people say they were touched at a young age, right? So was I. There's two different routes you can take.
That's right.
100%. So either it's mental or it's a choice you're making, in both of them.
And there is a thing that needs to happen amongst men. There is a revolution that needs to happen. Talk about it.
Gotta talk about it.
The strong silent type digs too many graves. there is great strength in vulnerability, because in our vulnerability, we can help heal these other generations. We can help the Vietnam veterans help our generation a tremendous amount. What you're doing right now is going to help young boys and young women, because there's a shame stigma that is associated with a lot of this. And so I think that you're
actually, for me as a black man, like in the black community, not trying to race into it, but in the black community, you don't talk about this stuff. You don't talk about how you feel mentally and all that. You keep it to yourself. And so for me, in my whole life, I just kept everything to myself.
Yeah.
But with doing this, I can open up about it. And people are opening up to me. You know,
that's right.
And it also heals what's going on with me. And so, you know,
beautiful.
So it's like people are talking all this negative stuff about what I'm trying to do. You guys don't know me. You know, like I'm doing this for what I believe in for my children, and because I'm doing it for the right reasons, it's going to continue to take off. So
people are going to reach out to you based on the pain and everything, and because of that, you have an opportunity to give them healing.
Right.
Like, what a beautiful thing.
So I feel like what I'm doing is right, and I'm really good on picking up energy and go with my gut. If I felt like it was wrong, I wouldn't do it. So nothing's gonna stop. Got you, predators.
I want to go back to the comments here. 72 people were caught in Riverside and let them go. They had to sign that they wouldn't appear back in court. Kai, we got sponsored by a few people, but we use it to further the cause. Nothing has been pocketed for self-gain.
Right. So I do have a sponsor from, let me shout them out actually.
Please do.
Hawks Bay Insurance. They're local in the community. They like what I'm doing. They wanted to sponsor me.
Said Hawks Bay Insurance.
Hawks Bay Insurance. So they're great people. It's like, I'm not just going to work with anybody, you know. They have to be, you know, doing it for the right reasons, for the right cause. And they just want to make sure that I'm able to get new equipment, have gas to drive around, because I'm not working, you know, like I'm taking care of my family, and that's it. I'm doing this. So that if they want to help me get place to place to catch these guys, let's do that. Or if people want to help me out in setting up a hotel, so I can have these guys meet me at a hotel, whatever it is, let's do that. I want the whole community to be a part of it.
Yeah.
I love it.
So like, I don't care if I don't make any money. Like I'm good on the feeling I get from helping other people.
Yeah, there's so many ways to participate.
People like us, we don't care about money. We don't care about things like that. We want to see our children's world become better. But that being said, if you don't worry about how you're going to eat, how you're going to pay your mortgage, you will be more effective in your fight. And that's what I want for you. So if you want to reach out to EJ directly, please do reach out to him. If you would like, I'd love for you to be able to just wear like a NASCAR jacket, just to cover his sponsorship. So he said, if people are attacking you and your character, this is Daryl. He's a fellow Marine. He also runs the SoCal Veterans Coalition, also involved in the fight and empowering veterans. If people are attacking you and your character, you are making a change, and you know you're doing something right. He said, spot on. Kai wants to let everyone know that it needs to be a federal felony to knowingly engage in sexually explicit content with a child.
Thank you.
Harsher punishments.
Yeah, please do. Let's get that on the ballot.
So I this is how I've been doing this for now 3 months. And if these guys thought it was a felony, I wouldn't be able to meet up with them. They wouldn't take that risk. So then there wouldn't be any, like the people are saying I'm bringing danger to the community if these guys do something. I wouldn't know there would be no danger if they wouldn't meet up with me.
Yeah, that's right.
So if it's a felony, I won't have a chance to have a YouTube channel. So let's change that law, and then I won't have to do it.
That's something that in California that we could get involved in pushing. That's some common sense legislation. Make it a felony for someone to knowingly engage into sexually explicit content with a child.
Right. You know what's interesting about that? So one of the last child porn cases that I ran, the guy had 450,000 pictures. 450,000 pictures. We went to the state to ask them, hey, do you guys want to run this case? Do you want to take it and run with it? They said, yeah, we can, but he's only going to get 6 months. He's a first-time offender. He'll only get 6 months. He wasn't producing child pornography. Went to another federal agency, and they said, well, there's no production, and so that's really what we need. We need to hammer something.
There's so many hoops that need to be jumped through in order for someone to be addressed. That if you can just shame them publicly, and that's what we get.
Right.
And it only stops
We
there.
shouldn't be at that point in society to where it's like we need all this to see that that's wrong.
That's right.
Like we shouldn't be there. And I'm only 26. Like, come on, guys. Like I'm younger than a lot of these other people that are running the country, and it's like we can't see that.
Yeah.
That's
We
common
can't-
There has to be
You know?
harsher consequences.
There has to
You know,
be.
there's no consequences. You
Right.
know, so to at least get their face on camera and let the community know, look out for this person.
That's right.
You know?
Look out. We are
Yeah.
empowering other people through information. That is the new revolution. Absolutely. Zach, thank you for doing that. Hawks Bay Insurance, 951-588-0757.
Give them a call.
Strongly encourage you to patronize the people that are making this possible. This is a dangerous fight. There are people that will act out and do these different things. That's why EJ is getting involved with the Fight Syndicate. Can we talk about that for a second?
Fight Syndicate, great guy, Bo King. He contacted me, said, "Hey, I want you to come by. I want to train you in, kickboxing, MMA." I'm saying yes to everything this year. I want to be able to, be the best version of myself. So I said, yeah, let's do it. So I'm my first class tonight. Yeah, he's a great guy. Like a lot of people in the community, even an Italian place, Tracino's. I had my birthday party there. They hooked me up with some food. Like the community is backing me. And
100%.
That's what's pushing Gotcha Predators even further. Is because I know that I have, for every one person, there's 1,000 people who are supporting me.
That's right.
So it's like, I'm letting all that go.
You're not even able to do a YouTube video anymore without somebody honking and saying, "Oh,
yeah, like people, walk up to me, and now I kind of have to be kind of like hesitant on who I talk to, because the last guy who approached me was highly upset.
Yeah.
But at the same time, most times it's a good encounter.
For the last person that contacted you was highly upset, feel free to come see me. We'll talk about how highly upset you are. I love that you're doing it. Keep up the good fight, Matt says. Go Daryl.
That's Menifee City Councilman.
There it is.
He's a good guy.
Menifee City Councilman.
I met with him. Great guy. He loves what I'm doing as well. So that's what I'm saying. I have
we need these politicians that are out there involved in the fight, because there's too many of them that shrug their shoulders at us.
Like I said, this started as an experiment because of my daughter. I wanted to make sure that she wasn't able to get contacted by these men and turn into this. But now it's going to turn into, I want some laws changed. And if they're going to push back on me, I'm the type of person, I'm going to come at you. Like,
that's right.
I'm the wrong person this year. Like I have no fear in any of this.
You have our, I will talk for myself personally. You have my complete support. I'm with you wherever it is that you need to be, and whatever information we need to get out. Go Daryl. Jessica says patch.com/Lake Elsinore. So this is the story that she's talking about.
The next comment from her.
About 72 people. She says, love what you're doing. Save our children. Thank you. Thank you. Genuinely. There's not enough people that just genuinely say that.
You know what's interesting? What you were saying is it seems like large businesses, large corporations. Look at the mall. Look at Stater Brothers. They're going, oh my God, don't do it. Then all these small local business owners, are like, thank you, sir. Yes, let's do it.
Absolutely.
And these large corporations are so afraid of getting sued.
There it is.
That they're, because we're in such a sue happy. And what should a judge do? A judge should, if something happened, the judge should say, have a nice day, get out of this court.
Well, this is California. This is the corporatocracy. This is what this is what we live in. And so the thing is get local, be local, and then have some pride in your community. I love that you're doing this as well.
When I was a kid, I was able to go outside and play with my friends and walk around and didn't fear someone trying to kidnap me or trying to lure me in. And now my kids can't go outside without.
It breaks my heart.
I don't want my kids living there.
Between here and my kid's friend's house, if he were to take a bike ride, he would have to drive within a couple hundred feet, or ride his bike within a couple hundred feet of two different sexual predators.
Like that's, and people say like, oh well, we already know where they're at. Okay, what about the ones that aren't registered? What about the ones
that are
just now starting that behavior? Those are the ones that I might.
We had a weird run-in at Denny's recently with some person coming up and talking to our kids, and we looked this person up. We find who we believe that he is, and his address isn't out there. So, like, this is one of those things. What do we need to do? Do we need to paint hazard marks on the curbs where they live? That way our children know, hey, listen, if you see yellow and black in front of a curb, a sex offender lives there. Stay away. Don't trick or treat there.
Exactly. Well, see, that's why there's a lot of people who do what I do on YouTube.
Yeah.
Other guys catching predators, right? But the way I do it is because I want parents to be able to show their kids, like, look, this is what could happen. That's why I don't make fun of the guys. I try not to cuss too much, stuff like that, because I want kids to see it too. Like, look, this is what could happen.
I just had that conversation with my 9-year-old and my 5-year-old yesterday, and I showed them the pictures of the 72 people, and they're all races, all genders, male, female, children. There's a child that was arrested.
There's no lip.
Yeah, and that's what I'm trying to get them to understand. It could be anybody.
Except for most of them are overweight white men. No, I'm just kidding.
But in regards to the mall, they're trying to force to take the video down. They just put a brand new arcade in there where there's nothing but kids. So how about backing me up on that?
Yeah.
How about if you put a brand new arcade where there's kids just running around, they'll feel better if they know that there's people looking out for other men trying to prey on them. But instead, you want me to take the video down because of your image?
That's right. Get involved. Get involved in the fight. You got to get involved.
It's so short-sighted, because if them all said, hey, we back you, and you know what, parents, you can leave your kids in the arcade and go shopping because nothing will happen to them.
It's worse than complacency. And so it's getting to the point to where if you're not in it with us, you're against us.
Yeah.
And if place, and I know you're not saying this, but I'm going to throw some shade. If Stater Brothers is not with us, they're against us. And if
I want to be clear about that. I'm not sure if it's just Stater Brothers. It
Yeah.
probably was Stater Brothers and Bear Creek property.
yeah,
But what we were told was that it was advised from the sheriff's department.
yeah.
So I don't know what's going on with it.
Whatever's going on,
whatever it is, you know. But no
stick
matter
your
what,
courage to the sticking place.
it's not going to stop me.
That's right.
You know? So I'm not breaking any laws. So as long as I can't go to jail, I'm going to be out there.
I love you for doing it. So Deanna Hell says multitasking, working and watching impeachment arguments, and watching my fave Gotcha Predators. Keep up with the great work to EJ Twyman and Kai from a fellow EHS graduate. We're getting lots of comments on these watch parties that Zach has going on. Whatever that is, you're getting some love. Oh, cool. We've got some names of people that were arrested.
Yeah, those are the 72 that were arrested.
Here you go, scumbags.
Yeah.
Janie Coleman of Murrieta, Anthony Norman of Murrieta, Javier Espinoza of Wildomar, Alex Sandoval of Vista, Roberto Hernandez of Temecula, Ishan Kashul of Hillsborough. I mean, look at this. I'd have to spend the next 20 minutes of the show reading all these names.
Where's that? Marietta, Temecula.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
right. Lol, that man smelled like after work bad decisions. Ooh, should be put on Megan's Law for even being willing to meet up with a minor. Absolutely. Minnie Marie, fellow veteran and military spouse. I love that. Be local, have some pride in your community. Erica Gonzalez says, thank you, thank you, thank you. Deanna Hell, TikTok, that app is terrifying. Is that where you're catching on people?
So this is what I'm doing it from dating apps, right? But now we're going to branch out to Snapchat. Well, if I find some decoys, because now I can't, constantly doing all that. But Snapchat, TikTok, Instagram, all of those are just as bad.
All decoy for you, my friend.
So yeah, okay, there we go. But all of those are just as bad. So it's not about a specific app. There's no regulations on these apps. So there's no regulation. How can we control it? How can we protect our kids?
Yeah.
So it's like any app that a kid can go on and video chat or text or have text sent to them, it's not okay.
So there's one of two different thoughts here too. And people are saying, well, maybe the government should get involved. But then this is when I think maybe you as a parent should get involved. But again, we have to understand what our kids are watching.
That's it. We can't rely on the police. They do the best they can. I'm not saying that they're not trying. They do the best they can, but they can't be everywhere. But as a parent, you have to take more interest on what your kids are doing in technology and invade their privacy.
We've way overheld you, like past when we said that we were going to let you go. The comments are absolutely flying. We've actually got comments from Australia. Glenn Twiddle is saying, morning team, 4 a.m. down under. Let's get her done. So we've got international viewership here on the Wednesday Wake Up Live. But EJ, I appreciate you letting us, because we have constant engagement right now.
Yeah.
It's almost hard to move on. But thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
And I'd love to collaborate musically. Just pick some strings. And
I've been making music since 2012, so let's do it.
we've been playing music together since we were 15. I'll tell you how old I'm going to be 35 this month. Hiya. All right. Well, EJ, I'm going to stand up and shake your hand. You're all going to get crowd shots for a second. All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay, we're going to catch up with the comments here really quick before we move on to our next segment, which is the halftime show controversy. Wow. EJ Twyman with Gotcha Predators. Make sure that you like his page on Facebook. Give him some love on YouTube. Let's go ahead and keep moving on. So Mindy said, I love that. Be local, have some pride. Erica said, thank you. TikTok. Kai said, a big fat red R mandatory on all their online profiles. That's an interesting thing.
Yeah.
Like if somebody's going to register for an online profile as a sex offender, they should have a big fat R on their stuff. Okay, Matt said, and this is our Menifee City Councilman. He said, we have election coming up, primaries in March, in both the Assembly and the Senate. We have good quality candidates running, and I think you should be meeting with them. Work with them and have them take up the fight up the hill. I'll pass you on some contacts offline. Your followers are voters, and they need you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Matt. I appreciate you tuning in. Of course, we have invited Stu from Temecula City Council to come on with us. We will, hello, good morning. We will encourage anyone that's out there running to have this platform, and we will discuss these topics with you. Okay, so moving on. Devin, EJ, you're making a massive impact on the community. One every parent should be thankful for. Keep it up. We agree with you, Devin. Thank you. Glenn Twiddle, from Australia says, good morning, team. Good morning, Glenn Twiddle, #1 real estate coach out there in Australia. Devin said, any person against your stance should change their viewpoint immediately the moment their child was involved.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
That's
what I said yesterday.
That's right. 4 a.m. down under. Well, good morning, Glenn Twiddle. My kids aren't allowed to have TikTok. They've had it for a little bit, saw what was going on, and nope, no more.
Yeah.
Glenn Twiddle, thank you for the transition here. He said, even we got the halftime show controversy, and we didn't even really get the game. What a great transition for our next topic. We're going to be talking about the Super Bowl halftime show. I originally said, you know what? I don't know if this is a good transition, jumping straight from EJ to the Super Bowl halftime show. But Zach brought up his suggestion that we follow it the way that we did. So I'll say what I said at the beginning of the show. I love the Super Bowl halftime show. Yeah. You love the Super Bowl halftime show. We had 3 generations of men with their jaws on the floor. There wasn't a straight man dancing. There wasn't a white woman on stage. I just thought it was fun. It was a celebration of Latin culture. I mean, like, get your heads out of the toilet. It was fun. But then we've got a lot of people talking about it becoming this big sexualization.
Yeah. The crotch shots.
The crotch shots. I don't think anybody would have been mad had we gotten a crotch shot from
Adam
Levine last year, but maybe I'm wrong. So Daryl said, thanks, guys, for giving community advocates a voice. We're going to continue to do that here on the morning, on the Wednesday Wake Up Live. We're all about individual independence, individual liberty, the thriving of the mind. But right now, let's get in the gutter and let's talk about the Super Bowl halftime show.
So I said it yesterday or the day before, and I will say it again. Weird Al needs to do the halftime show. Nobody is going to complain about Amish Paradise.
I don't know. Maybe Snoop would.
And, actually, there's a couple of artists that have come out that after Weird Al.
We're not here to talk about Weird Al.
He's made a cover of their song. And they said that's when they knew they became successful.
Yeah.
Was when Weird Al did a cover. But anyway,
Weird Al didn't appreciate it, I think.
Cool? Weird Al needs to do the halftime show.
Okay, so Weird Al didn't do the halftime show. Amy, you were yipping and screaming the whole halftime show.
I enjoyed every single second of it, to be honest with you guys. I mean, I was shouting and cheering. I was fired up by it. I mean, it couldn't have been better, in my opinion. I mean, like, to see J-Lo, Queen of Queens, oh my God, I'm in love. Shakira, I mean, like, you guys, how could you be mad at that? I mean, it was all love. There was so much culture and celebration. And I mean, like, that's all I have to say.
J-Lo at 50, Shakira was 43, and I was stunned the whole time. And then and I saw Ben Shapiro commenting on this, and he was just so flabbergasted that these women had the audacity to dance in this way.
Yeah.
And I freaking loved it. Yeah. I thought it was fun.
Yeah. There's some women, I was pretty surprised, to be honest with you. I was getting a little bit of feedback from women, to put it nicely, that felt it was the exact opposite of women empowerment. And I was flabbergasted by that. I'm just like, are you kidding me? That is the epitome of women empowerment.
The same women that were upset about them this year were the ones that were screaming about
Adam Levine
last year.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like the double standards here. You know, are you kidding me right now?
And then
and at the end of the day, it comes down to insecurities, which we've talked about time and time again. Is people look at J-Lo and they look at Shakira like, oh my God, I can't believe they're doing that. It's because they're insecure with themselves.
Well,
they know that that's.
I mean, like, come on, nude beaches. You know, nursing isn't an issue. You know what I mean? Like, why can't we just be more like Europe?
Are we too prudent?
Our bodies.
Are we too prudent? Are we too easily offended? I think we are way too easily offended.
You know,
if things are sexualized, it's because you're sexualizing them at home.
Robin Williams talked about this, about when America was founded, that our ancestors were Puritans, which were such an extremely, prude form of Christianity that the English were like, get out, go across the ocean, you're too prude.
I love that our main comments right now are coming from Australia. Glenn said they did the job, and the world is talking about it. And for entertainers, that is exactly what they were hired to do.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
We are talking.
Yeah.
Everyone is talking.
Mm-hmm.
And I really, like I said, they looked amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm doing my flipping, my squats.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what, honestly, like, the other thing I was getting from women is, oh, they're strippers and, getting up on dance poles and all these things. And I'm just like, are you kidding me? That is so limiting to think, oh, can we not do any better than strippers during the halftime show? These women are songwriters, businesswomen, philanthropists, millionaires.
Mm-hmm.
So there's so much more than just a halftime show.
We have so much work to do. We want to mock and discredit everybody.
Yeah.
It's like this natural thing that we do
While
where
we're
it's
all
like
sitting and judging.
while we're sitting and judging in our armchairs.
Jennifer Lopez has an estimated net worth of $400 million.
Yeah,
So
she
if I,
donated $1 million to Puerto Rico to help the cause there.
if I could have a net worth of
Which is
$400 million,
part
I'll
of
become a stripper.
Oh, she's not.
No, she's not though.
Yeah, but so Jennifer Lopez, $400 million. Nancy Pelosi, $120 million. There's a lot of money out there to be had, and I really enjoy it.
I love Puerto Ricans, okay? And so to see people get so offended, I'm very Portuguese, Latina woman. So my whole thing here is there's people that are getting upset about J-Lo's beautiful Puerto Rican coat, which on the other side was also American, had the American flag.
Mhm.
And so people are really just that ignorant that they think Puerto Rico is not actually a part of America. I had so many Puerto Rican friends in the military that, their families still live in Puerto
That's
Rico.
right.
They're serving.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So don't discredit the Puerto Ricans and the Latina culture there in Miami. Like that was the place.
That was one of the big
showing.
things that I saw people doing was mocking the culture stuff, was mocking
That's the
Shakira.
American culture. Isn't the epitome of American culture to be accepted? Like all these other people from the world, bring us your people. Right?
Yeah.
American culture at its very base is the acceptance of the rest of the world.
Sure.
So why not celebrate all these different cultures?
What do you think, Kate?
A lot of the negative comments I find are coming from the religious community. Are you guys finding that as well? I thought it was great. I love Shakira. I love J-Lo. I thought it was very empowering. I think it comes down to everybody's saying, our children we came home and we turned it on, or we were watching it, and our young children are watching this, this really like vulgar, disgusting display. And I'm thinking, well, then what are you talking to your kids about? Like, what are you teaching your children?
Yeah, I also saw Shakira getting on the drums. That's not talking about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Playing the guitar.
Yeah.
She was rocking it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Shakira's a musician. They're both mothers.
Mhm.
They both have children. I just felt like it was a great show, and I feel like it kind of starts right there in the living room with you and your kids. If you can't just enjoy that for what it was and have a good time and be able to explain to your kids the differences of everything that was going on there.
Yeah.
I feel like that's
And
really
how cool was it to
there.
see J-Lo's daughter on the stage?
Yeah.
Her daughter was even singing
That
with
was
her.
inspiring for my little girl.
Yeah.
You know?
I thought it was
Anything is
great.
possible. And that's the message I took away and really preached to my children.
Mhm.
Anything is possible. These women are showing us that nothing is impossible anymore.
Yeah.
We had a female NFL coach for the first time, you
Yeah.
guys. That's
Yes.
incredible.
Oh, that was great.
We have women that are going to the moon. There are powerful women all over the world that are stepping up and owning their power.
Mhm.
And what people just need to get used to it. We're not stopping. So
One of my favorite pastimes is watching Amy spar with men on Facebook. You got another one of them real beating the submission here in that last thread that you put up there. So Glenn said, offense and outrage seems to have become a recreational activity. So did they favor giving them something to get their daily fix on? That's what people are like scrolling through Facebook, like, what can I be offended about? What can I be angry about?
well, I sit here and judge the rest of the world.
Yeah.
Yep.
Alyssa, another friend of the show, says, it's a show. It's entertainment. Loosen up, people. They brought it. They
Yeah.
brought it indeed. I agree.
Good job.
What would Mindy say?
What did Mindy say?
They inspired her to go to the gym.
Yep.
Yeah. How many women are now inspired? Oh my God, what did 50 used to look like, you guys? Think about the Golden Girls.
I enjoyed a lot of women that are around that age that were posting that. Like 50,
Yeah.
what was 50, 50 years ago and what's 50 now.
Yeah,
And I'm like, freaking cool, man. I think it's awesome.
I love it. We're totally redefining women.
Yeah, I saw this meme though. I think that maybe with some of that age group, we might have gotten some of this controversy. There was a meme, and it was a guy in a hospital bed, and he's talking to his doctor, and he's kind of all like bruised and beaten up, and he goes, what happened? And he said, well, all I said was, well, honey, she's the same age as you at the Super Bowl. All messed up.
Gone, bro.
Live me. That's what, if you're taking care of your body mentally and physically and spiritually and emotionally, you too can look like J-Lo at 50. Like it's possible.
Yeah.
Or Shakira at 43.
Freaking
I
haters.
was dancing all over the living room with the baby because I was like, yes, I too can look like that at 50, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Love it. So shall we move on to the State of the Union and get everyone all triggered?
If we haven't triggered you yet, get ready.
We've had a great show so far, guys, and I have a feeling we're probably going to run a few minutes long. We're going to try to keep it right around an hour. But the Wednesday Wake Up Live, we talked about the halftime show, and we just talked about the halftime show. EJ Twyman visited us from Gotcha Predators. That was absolutely eye-opening.
Yeah.
I'm going to be discussing Common Sense here by Thomas Paine shortly. We should probably be careful with that pencil. Jeez, Serpa.
That was me giving it to me.
We talked about Warrior Built and what they're doing. Or no, we haven't talked about Warrior Built yet. Let's talk about Warrior Built.
I need my notes. Goodness sakes. Well,
Oh, geez, Kate.
sorry, guys. It was, oh, goodness. I got it.
Okay, let's not talk about Warrior Built.
Well, it's right here.
Okay, we got Warrior Built. So we're going to talk about Warrior Built and what they're doing for veterans out here in Lake Elsinore.
Yeah, in the Lake Elsinore area, Temecula Valley.
Okay.
So our nonprofit of the week is Warrior Built. Okay. Anyways, they provide recreational therapy to ill, injured, and combat wounded service members and veterans. So they adapt and they customize their vehicles so that they can continue doing what they love to do. So I think that that's pretty awesome. They do it in this 4,000 square foot building. They do camaraderie therapy. They do all different kinds of things. Apparently they have a music studio as well. So I think that they're just very into supporting the veteran community, which I think is great.
Specifically the combat veterans, if I remember correctly. Warrior Built was being recognized by Assemblywoman Melissa Melendez at an Operation Silver Star event that I was also being recognized at. I hear nothing but good things about them and what they're doing for our combat community. Okay, holy Moses. All right, so now let's talk about the State of the Union address, shall we? Okay, so last night was the State of the Union. Who watched it? Who watched it?
On half speed.
So I'm going to be honest, I didn't watch it live, but what I did see was I saw Nancy Pelosi ripping up the speech afterwards. And then I saw later a picture of her extending her hand to shake President Trump's hand and him not shaking her hand. We are divided right now. What did you all expect? It was like watching the WWF. I was really inspired by the speech for the most part. And I'd like to talk about some of that. But what did you guys think about the State of the Union address?
From what I watched, it did highlight a lot of the good that the president has been able to accomplish in the last 3 years. One thing that I did find interesting is you didn't see the divide in the audience, in that you saw a lot of, when he would speak and he would say stuff, you saw a lot of our representatives standing up and clapping, and you didn't see all the Democrats just sitting down, angrily staring.
I actually didn't see one shot of the audience.
Really?
The clip that I saw was him the entire hour and 18 minutes.
Yeah, I watched the CNN one. They did show the audience, and that's very interesting to me, considering a week ago we had all of the impeachment stuff going on and all of this, and very divided against Republicans and Democrats. And now you have people cheering and clapping and standing up for the president as he's speaking.
So Jessica said that she watched it. Why am I not surprised? You are continuously informed about the things that are important. I'd be curious to see what you guys think about the State of the Union address. I listened to it this morning once I found out that we're going to be talking about it on the show. And I watched it on 1.5 speed, which I encourage you to do at home, because it cut through all the applauses. It cut through a lot of the dramatic pauses. And I saw some very interesting things that I wanted to. I haven't been one of those people. I'm not a President Trump fanboy. I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. I am somebody that I feel like is just kind of a common sense libertarian in a lot of ways. And these are my thoughts on the State of the Union address. You talked about the opportunity zones. Zach and I had an opportunity to see an opportunity zone in Maine firsthand. And the amount of money that was spent there and the amount that it stimulated the economy, I thought was absolutely incredible. That was just outside of Portland, Maine. He talked about the unemployment rate being so low across the divide. He talked about prison reform and criminal justice reform, which I think is absolutely huge.
Yeah.
He's helped people get out of prison that are drug offenders. It was very interesting to watch. But one of the biggest things that I just about applauded was he said that we become the #1 producer of oil and natural gas, and that has made us energy independent as a country. And energy independence is directly related with national security. You cannot talk about one without talking about the other. And so I think that energy independence, we have to talk about nuclear technology and what that can do for us here in the United States. He talked about manufacturing and that we have gained 12,000 manufacturing jobs. Jessica said it was so ridiculous. It's tough to see the division. A lot of us are watching the speech, and a lot of us are watching what's happening in the country, and we're feeling polarized. We're watching the people on two sides getting so divided, and we're exhausted by it. We're pretty frustrated.
I think that the people are really uniting, on the common level, and I think a lot of us are really tired of hearing the left and the right and the division, and I really do feel like the communities are having these revolutions, just like what we just talked about with EJ Twyman. Yes. We're just being active in our own communities, and we're starting to revolt from the bottom level.
Yeah.
Right?
I agree with you 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it is tough to see the divide. That being said, it has been good for our country to get a lot of this ugliness that is within us out. Yeah. I've enjoyed hearing people's ideas out there in the world. I'm very interested to see what could potentially be a Yang-Trump debate. I think that Yang is very interesting, but we're not talking about that yet. We just talked about the Space Force. Everybody got their USA chant in. Goodness gracious.
Did you see the Space Force logo is almost, it's 80% of the Starfleet logo from Star Trek.
Yeah.
There's so many similarities that obviously they took it.
I love what that kid said, that he said a lot of people look up at space. He wants to look down at the world.
People like Alyssa Carlson, who's been training to go to Mars since she was like 7 years old or something, like incredible. Her whole life. She's now a teenager. She's been working for NASA for almost her entire life. And so why not create the Space Force where we have these people that are able to train and go out and
what's happened is a lot of people are dreaming right now, and it's good. It's good for the world. It's good for our mindset. I enjoy a lot of the conversations that are being had. A lot is being stirred up. Jessica said
into a multi-planetary world, whether people want it or not.
I think so. You and Tesla are 100% about that. You guys would agree. It takes crazy people to keep things developing. But my God, what a gift we have here on Earth. Yeah. Jessica said, I know it might be minor, but I feel if my ex-husband can get along with and raise our kids for the best of the girls, why can't these guys learn to respect each other and our differences for our citizens? Beautiful point. I think that what's going on right now is the left and the right, they have these groups that are going out and they're collecting data, and they're memorizing talking points that are keeping us divided. And what's happened is in states like California, it's become such a farce that we don't even want to engage anymore. What's happened is most Californians, most Americans, but most Californians aren't even showing up to vote. I'm one of them. What if we had to show up for it? We're disgusted with 95% of you, absolutely disgusted. And so it's going to take some people being smoked out a little bit. It's going to take a lot of these people, the awareness. It's going to take people thinking for themselves and having the conversations that we need to be having. And we're starting to have some of them.
What's interesting to me is we have this voting system in place, and people have to go to the polls. You look at what happened in the Iowa caucus, where the results got jumbled, and all these issues that were happening. We live in an age of technology. Why is there not a way to have an app on your phone? You verify your identity. You go somewhere like the DMV. You verify the identity, and literally when there's a big issue at hand, the country sends it out. Boom. They send it out at the poll. All registered voters can go, yes.
We need to start embracing technology. Specifically in California, where we have the Silicon Valley, we have all these people that are trying to make it there that, we could really embrace their minds. One of the really big things that President Trump talked about was school of choice for everyone. one person got an opportunity to go to her school of choice. I feel like everyone should be getting that opportunity. He talked about failing government schools, dropout factories. There's an incredible documentary I'd love for you all to watch called Waiting for Superman. That's absolutely eye-opening. I think it was $27 million was spent by teachers unions to fight against the development and founding of charter schools.
Yeah.
It's just like, I mean, is there better things for that money to be spent on?
Human trafficking.
Well, I mean, like for just the teachers unions.
Yeah.
Is there better things?
How about let's
$1
feed
million.
our
How about your
children
teachers?
Yeah.
and
How about our
homeless
children?
epidemic happening in California.
People are answering to this crap with alternative solutions.
Yeah.
No.
We're finding them.
Yeah.
And big government is continuing to stand in the way.
You that's spent $27 million. Not the Oakland Raiders moved to Vegas, and the first thing they did was wipe out the student debt for lunches in Nevada.
Yeah.
And it's just like you have sports teams doing that while teachers unions are fighting alternative school choices. That's
Okay,
insane.
so Jeff Marsh said because most politicians from far left and far right are power-hungry greed monsters. I couldn't agree with you more, Jeff. So what's happening is they're turning us against each other. They're trying to act like there's this big divide in this country, and I don't think there is. I think it's 15% of the idiots over here and 15% of the idiots over here, and then, geez, the other freaking 70% of us are in the middle. Like, what the hell?
Can't we all just get along?
Yeah, like there's
Yeah.
better things to be talking about. One of them is, making it a felony for people to touch children. Why
The problem
not?
is those 15% get that other 70% in the middle to start swaying,
Yeah.
back and forth, rather than the 70% saying, no, we're not going to do that.
So Glenn Twiddle said, "Is Serpa going on the ticket in 2024?" I enjoy being an outsider too much. My next book is going to be a political book, and I haven't quite announced the title yet, but it is. It's going to be Common Sense for California: A New Revolution. And I think that it's time that we start breathing some common sense into this state.
Yeah, and stop leaving it.
Stop leaving it.
The fight is here, guys.
It's time to fight. Glenn said that I'd vote for Serpa and I live on the other side of the world. I appreciate that, Glenn. Jeff said we homeschool all kiddos. Public schools are programming. We tried to do something similar this year. Try to develop an acting academy. I won't mention what it was called, but the state has made it very difficult.
Yeah.
Very difficult. So he talked about combating the opioid crisis, which I applaud him in doing. I think that is such a national disaster, such a national crisis that was brought here by our government. So good that we're getting involved in fighting that. He recognized Rush Limbaugh, which I thought Pelosi was going to explode. But that was interesting. And then at this point, I'm in the shower listening to the rest of this, but he talked about taking out Baghdadi. Good.
Yeah.
Fantastic. He talked about a lot of really interesting things. One of those things being our national defense. And there are some things that I could disagree with, but they were minor and minuscule. I do feel like ICE has done a lot of really great things. We can look at the things that have happened that have been issues. I do think that our border needs to be strengthened. I do think that there needs to be a path to immigration. I was finding it hard to disagree with the man.
Yeah. It's, but people are always going to find negativity when they want to find negativity. And rather than focus on good and focusing on a way forward, people want to complain.
One of the biggest things that he brought up was bringing vocational and tech schools to high schools.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was a major talking point from my book. I saw a lot of things that were being brought up, and I feel like would be really good for California.
And, we've vilified, blue collar jobs. And, my brother makes well over 6 figures working for PG&E. And people will talk down to my brother for working for PG&E, but you just put holes in the ground, because I find to put holes in the ground, but I make more money than you do.
Well, and we look down at these guys, and I love what Mike Rowe has done to really applaud his work for people working with their hands, and that should not be something that we look down on. And what's happened is we've developed a sort of hierarchy of looking down on blue collar jobs, and there've been manufacturing jobs that have been brought back, and they're having trouble getting people to fill those jobs. Wild. Glenn Twiddle, #1 real estate coach in Australia, says Rogan Serpa 2024, maybe 2028. Rogan Serpa.
Rogan also just openly supported Bernie Sanders.
Did he really?
Yes.
Interesting. I saw that Joe Rogan had Andrew Yang on, which was very interesting. I haven't watched the Bernie Sanders one yet. I love Joe Rogan. So little known fact about me and Joe Rogan. I used to serve Joe Rogan coffee at the Coffee Bean in Calabasas when I was working in Los Angeles, trying to make it in film and television. And he was genuinely the best guy. He would talk to anybody about anything. Yeah. I would go out and I'd take a break with him, and I talked with him for 30 or 40 minutes a couple of different times. And this is, 2010, 2008.
Yeah.
And he was just a great guy. I loved Joe Rogan. And this is way before, this was like when all the UFC stuff was happening. So, okay. So the other thing that he talked about was, of course, national defense, which was great. He talked about bringing everyone home from Afghanistan.
Yeah.
Long overdue.
Yeah.
Way overdue.
Long overdue. It has been a long war. It has been 18 years. It is time to come home.
Yeah, I refuse to send my children to the same war I fought. It's just
that's right. You and me both. Iraq. Amy fought in Iraq. That's a combat veteran. I fought in Afghanistan. I'm a combat veteran. Thomas Paine, who I love, a personal hero of mine, said, "If there must be war, let it be in my time with me, so that my children may know peace."
100%.
Now, you took an oath when you enlisted. You took an oath when you enlisted. I took an oath when I enlisted to fight against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Well, what's happening here in this new revolution is we're looking at people, and we have to start holding up the mirror to our own. Nancy Pelosi is worth $120 million. She spent 33 years in public service. A lot of people say that, well, that wealth was created outside of the government. A lot of it was created in the government.
Servant making $120 million.
$120 million. So for her to stand up and rip that speech up, acting like she's the people's champion,
disrespectful.
Just shame on you, you nasty hypocrite. You hypocrite. So I am absolutely passionate and adamant about calling out the hypocrites that are in our California state government.
Yeah.
Okay, and there's a lot of them. One of them, Senator Stone, that's a Republican. Okay, Feinstein, Pelosi. Okay, there's a lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to look across both parts of the aisle.
Yeah.
And we need to look at both of them and say, hey, listen, your time is up.
That's right.
There's no more opportunity for you to get it right. We need to vote these people out of office.
Yeah, I don't care how you've labeled yourself. If you're a dirty crook, it's time for you to get the hell out. We're all fed up.
You know, Feinstein is far left, has been left for a very long time. And all of a sudden, she said that she would actually not vote for impeachment. And immediately she got attacked by the liberal side of the house, just attacked by them for saying that she wouldn't support it. And it's insane to me that, something that there's just these polarizing issues where, people can't just say, it's like Jessica said, two parents who went through a divorce can learn to coexist and parent their kids together peacefully. Then maybe our politicians need to.
So, you know what I think that needs to happen? If you've been in government for over 20 years in the state of California, I think we need to get a list together and just get all these people out of office so that they can try to find a job or create work in the economy that they've helped create.
What's insane is we have term limits on the president. Mm-hmm. We do not have term limits for our senators, for our that's insane, because realistically, yes, the president is the figurehead of the United States, but Congress and the House and they are the ones that really are making these decisions.
Well, they're supposed to be representative of the districts that they're from.
Yeah.
And we've all seen how through a lot of people jumping and moving to new districts and getting voted in, and people that are in rich part of their districts representing everybody. I'm like, it has just become a farce.
You know what I really love? Let's highlight something beautiful.
11/11.
I've been seeing at 11/11. There's a lot of veterans that are running for office across the country, and a lot of female combat veterans, and veterans just in general. And it's really it's lighting up my heart to see, because these people have been boots on the ground, and these are the people we need in office because they have been to war. They have that experience.
When you've experienced violence, like real violence, you don't wish that on everybody.
Yeah, you know what it's like.
Zach, I want to give you some final words here on the State of the Union address before I talk about Thomas Paine and common sense.
Just what Amy just said is, you look at Pete Buttigieg. I can't say his last name. He is a veteran. He's a veteran. He's openly gay, and he is beating all of them in the Iowa caucus now. And everybody's going, how does a former mayor of a town of 125,000 beat a two-term vice president, more than double his votes in
Interesting.
Iowa. And so you do have veterans,
Yeah.
you know, and I might not agree with what Pete says on everything, but he's a veteran.
Yeah.
He's a veteran,
Yeah.
and which immediately, to me, gives him more,
Credit.
you know, more credit.
Yeah,
More credit.
there is, when you've really fought for this country and you understand like what that means, and maybe you fought for this country and it didn't really feel like fighting for this country. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden you want to come back and you have no interest in being defined by the hypocrites and the bureaucrats.
That's where the government lost me, to be honest with you, was the transitioning back home, you know, and understanding being those boots on the ground and knowing I could have lost my life or seeing people that, you know, didn't make it home, you know?
So we're running a little bit long. Rogan Serpa 2024. Thank you, Glenn. I said, hey, great to see you guys this morning. Got to fly, get it done, keep it real. Alyssa said, thank you. We hope to highlight these jobs too. Okay, fantastic. Really quick here. We're going to, we had a great show today, really did. And I appreciate all of you guys tuning in. I appreciate all of the word getting spread on Temecula Talk that we are that we're here and we're helping and we want to help.
Yeah.
The Short-Term Rental Alliance in Temecula, getting out there fighting the fight. Certain Ministries was out there fighting the fight in out there in Vegas for the Super Bowl. Just lots of really great things. So Gotcha Predator, EJ Twyman, tremendous. That volume is getting real loud. He was supposed to be on for about 20 minutes. He ended up being on for about 24, 25 minutes. Beautiful human being, absolutely fighting the fight in Wildomar, and I appreciate everything that he's doing. We talked about the State of the Union address, and we talked about the Super Bowl halftime show. So now I want to talk to you, all my fellow Americans, because Glenn is now tuned out there in Australia, about a revolutionary document that many of you may not have read or maybe you don't know existed. My sixth grade history teacher, Mrs. Stewart, brought this document to my attention. Thomas Paine wrote Common Sense, and it was widely distributed throughout the 13 colonies. Up until this point, less than 30% of the Senate and the Congress were in favor of the revolution, of becoming an independent nation. But as Thomas Paine distributed this pamphlet, less than 4 months later, they were meeting to sign the Declaration of Independence. Inspired a world with literature. This pamphlet continues to be distributed throughout the world, and Thomas Paine continued his fight throughout the world, was ostracized, completely dedicated to the rights of man, regardless of skin color. Wrote about for the rights of women. And Thomas Paine was a radical. The reason why he was ostracized by people like George Washington and Thomas Jefferson was because of his absolute dedication to his principles. This is not something that we live by so often anymore. We've become an entertained masses. We've become a group of people that are willing to watch 4 hours of television, that are willing to criticize, but so few of us are willing to get involved. And so I want to encourage you to read Common Sense by Thomas Paine. Understand that the powers of the motherland are not so different from the powers here in California that are continuing to have votes, but not acknowledging your vote, that are continuing to ask you for your opinions and then discard them.
Yeah.
There will come a time in this new revolution where it comes on social media and it's about awareness. There will come a time when we need to take to the streets. And I can tell you this, that it will not be the American people that raise their hands in violence against the government. It will continue to be the government that raise their hands in violence against the people of this great country. Dissent is the highest form of patriotism. We must hold up the mirror to society. But instead, on every 4th of July, we wave our American flags and we scream undying loyalty. And we close our eyes to the things that are happening. What we should do on the 4th of July is we should gather in our local government officials' offices. We should gather in Sacramento. And we should set off fireworks. And we should celebrate that brave men and women dedicated themselves absolutely to a revolution. And we should question ourselves whether or not the time has come again. Every year, annually, it should be like a report card that we hold up to our congressmen and senators and let them know where they stand with our freedom and our democracy. It doesn't belong to them. It's on loan. We're not here to be controlled. And that's what this show is all about. Alyssa Carr, thank you so much. 1111. Yes, we're mystics. Yes, we're a little bit crazy. Yes, we're revolutionaries. This is the Wednesday Wake Up Live. We love you all. Thank you so much for tuning in. Feel free to share it out. Subscribe to us on YouTube, Real Estate Network Television. Please like the show so that you can continue to see us every week. And share this out to all your friends. Anything else from anyone else?
That's it.
Have a great
Happy
week, everybody.
holiday.